All right. It's your man, Sir-Earl, coming to you again with another podcast, another episode. Today is Sunday, July the 28th. And so far, so good. We're staying with the weekly podcast. It's fun for me to do. I'm still asking everyone to log on to the Ratio One to One Fitness Facebook page. Ask for invite. Let us take you on as friends because we're going to be doing something really fun in the next week or two, and we're probably going to do it once a month where we actually take questions live from Facebook and include them on the podcast, send out gifts for some of the best questions, t-shirts, supplements, workout certificates, different things like that. So we're going to start to have a lot of fun with this podcast. We ask you to invite friends, family, whoever. I try to put up great content every time that I post because I just feel it offers a chance to interact and create something quality with your people, which is a lack of today. Which is that's one of the things that I want to address is this podcast is going to reflect more on. I look at the things that we have in society today. Basically, the generations coming up, the lack of work ethic, the lack of respect for authorities or older people or whatever it may be. And I look at it and I say, we were raised a little bit different, but one of the things that I have noticed is that the generation before my generation, which was my mom, my dad, myself, they were before me and then myself. This current generation of parents, we don't teach our kids a lot of good work ethic. And I found out as I talked to people in my generation, that's my age, 50, 40, they don't have a lot of high goals and standards. It's like society has conformed them to be and to think of themselves as this is the best that I can do. And one of the dangerous parts about that is that I know a guy that worked for the American Red Cross for 28 years. He worked his way up from volunteer to actually being a CEO. And one of the highest guys, he was the highest ranking guy. And he moved his family from here to Detroit. And then just one day they just came in and said, "Hey, look, you're fired. We don't need your help anymore." And the loyalty that he gave to that company, I saw firsthand because I've known him that long. I've trained him that long, and I don't make believe that everybody should be an entrepreneur. There's entrepreneurs that should be entrepreneurs because they think it's what they should do. What what I believe our kids watch what we do, not what we say. So if you're living a mediocre life, you are encouraging your kids to live a mediocre life. And if I would have done what I was suggested to do by my mom, I would be a mechanic or I would be doing something else. But my love and my passion is training people and encouraging people and motivating people and inspiring people. How many great gifts do we have in a younger generation that are curtailed because our parents wanted us to play it safe? They wanted you to go to school, even though you may not be a school person, collect debt, get married, buy a house, and live a miserable life in which they lived. The advice that they give you to do don't even work for them. And yet it's what they encourage you to do. And what I'm here to say is that if you're a parent, support your kids, unless they come in with something just ridiculously stupid. But support their dreams and their goals. Don't try to make them live the way you want them to live because you have to understand that they're going to get older and they've got to go off and they've got to live their own life. And through the process of elimination, growing up knowing what you don't want, you'll eventually find out what you do want. And the one thing that I preach is not non-school. It's not everybody should be an entrepreneur. It's not, hey, go to the service. It's happiness. Do what makes you happy. And a lot of times as parents, we weigh a lot of influence on our kids, but that influence should be used to support and guide them, not, direct them and tell them what they should do. I grew up playing I grew up playing sports a lot. And so when my son wanted to be on a debate team, be on a chess team, and speech team, that was so against what I thought he would grow up to be because of the way that I grew up. But I was not that parent that said, hey, look, this is what I did. This is what you got to do. You need to go to school. You need to play sports. You need to do this. You need to do that. I instead embraced and supported what he felt he wanted to do in his life. Is he happy? I believe he is. With Chia's kids, she had three older kids. Her one son that goes to Northwestern, I couldn't imagine him not in school. He loves school. He flourishes in school, and it's what he's meant to do. So you don't mess with that. So there's so many options of things that people could do. Help them find a direction. You know your child, or should know your child better than anybody. So if they're not school material, like I was clearly not school material, I didn't even make it through high school, but yet my mom still to this day has ambitions that I will one day go to college. And the last time she mentioned it to me, which was not too long ago, what the hell would I go back to college for? I've learned what I need to learn in this business. I've been self-employed for 28 years. Seems to work for me. I didn't even like grammar school. I didn't even go to high school. What makes you think I would go to college? So everybody's not meant to do everything. So as a parent that's guiding their child, we have to find out what our kids are good at and what they're not good at and steer them in that direction. I have a nephew that he couldn't find direction. He tried school, he tried working, he tried a lot of different things, and eventually he wound up going into the military, went into the Navy. And it has been the greatest thing for him. And he says he'll be in the Navy the next 30 years till he retire, which changed him 180 degrees. And, so the traditional, which his mom pushed him, hey, you should go to college. Well, he couldn't even barely made it through high school. So school, obviously, if you're struggling with high school where they hold your hand through the classes, if you're struggling with that, then obviously the upper level of learning, which is school, is not for you. So he messed around for years, which was good. I mean, you got to try different things. But eventually, he knew he wanted to go into the service. So he goes into the service. He chooses which service he wants to, give his time and life to. And he loves it. It's a decision that he will never regret because he's traveled the world. It makes him happy. He's got married. And he has his whole future planned out through the Navy, in which he feels that's what he wants to do. Now, if 10 years from now he changes his mind, that's fine also. Nothing is etched in stone. You sometimes change your mind, but at least he has some type of direction when it counts, which is now. And, what my message is let's encourage, let's stop directing, and let's stop, because I thought of getting married, having two kids, and a white picket fence, I think it's a good idea for you. And that's what you should do. Well, that was a good idea for you, and it didn't even work. How many of our parents who preach getting married got divorced or are married and unhappy and only stand in the situation because they don't want to leave? So if it ain't working for you, why would you try to make it work for your child? If you support and you encourage, they will figure out what it is they're meant to do. And like I said, as long as it's nothing stupid, I want to sell hot dogs off I-55. Hey, come on now. let's think of something else. But generally, they figure it out themselves, and then it becomes up to us as parents to help direct. And when my son decided he wanted to go to college, I knew nothing about college. I never went. I learned. I made the calls. I paid the money, which is very expensive, and that's what I did in terms of helping to support what his goal was. Well, his third year in, okay, well, this is not for me. I really want to work and start my own business. Okay, let's start working in that direction. I didn't say, oh, well, you waste my money, you shouldn't win, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm going to support almost in whatever direction you want to go in. It's your life. Our kids are going to be adults a lot longer than they are kids. And so, why direct them in a way, why direct them in a way that's they got to live their life based on what you said they should do. That's what leads to so much unhappiness in the world. It leads to such mediocre living. As parents, a lot of times we don't, or they don't. I do believe in themselves. So you pass that mediocre thinking and that mediocre living concept down to your kids. So everyone was put on this earth to do something great. Great doesn't mean change the world. Great means be happy and influence the circle in which you're in. Success is not based on a dollar value. Success is based on happiness and loving what you do every day. They say there's 87 to 89% of people who work a job that hate going to work every day, and we've seen it. We've all been to places where people got attitude because they got to work. Well, I didn't tell you to take this job, so don't take attitude out on me. But we have to get back to a point in life where we're living for happiness. So whether that's owning a business, whether that's working for somebody, whether that's being in the service, whether that's being in school, we have to get back to a point where happiness is the key factor in which we search for. And for our kids coming up, and I mean, my son is 24 years old. It's never too late. You always encourage, you always support. If it's something practical, and I keep reiterating that because sometimes kids come up with crazy ideas, and then it's up to you to put the realistic approach of, well, maybe let's, okay, you want to try this, selling hot dogs on I-55, why don't we just try maybe open it up a restaurant? Let's look into that. So it's still within that realm, but you put the realistic spin on it. And I think we owe that to this generation coming behind us because from what I'm seeing, this generation that's coming up behind us is going to be a fucked up generation if we don't do something. So I think we need to get back to support, guiding, not telling, not directing this is what you're going to do because it's what I think is best. You don't have to live their life. I tell my son that all the time. I don't have to live your life. I would never encourage my son to come and be a personal trainer or be a bodybuilder. That was my dream. That was my life. I would never try to push him in that direction because that was mine. It's not his. What you believe or what you have in your life as a parent, whether it's working or owning your business or whatever, that was your dream. That was your life. It's very unfair to try to make your kids live in your image of what you wanted to do in your life. It's just not fair to the child. And so we need to get back to making happiness number one in our lives and in our kids' lives, not do this because I said do this. That's not going to benefit anybody. And we're starting to see a reflection of it. Kids are getting out of school with that. They're not getting jobs that they went to school for. I laugh every time somebody say I went to school for business. I just was talking to one kid that I trained. He plays football, and he's in college, and he says, my major is, I forgot what he said, but his major used to be business. And I said, study, and then he said he changed it to, I don't know, I forgot what he changed it to, but have a minor in business, have a minor in economics to where you always know how to count your money. And it's, maybe you want to run a business on the side. I know my stepdaughter, she works for Uber Corporation. She's just been moved up to a manager. She makes great money. And she has a business on the side where she does lashes. So you're still not so dependent on that one position to take care of you for the rest of your life, because that can change. It changes all the time. A job will come in and fire you tomorrow. But learn to have your own. So even if you work, learn to have your own, whether it be real estate, whether it be investing in stocks, eyelashes, cutting hair, whatever it is, learn to have something on your own that you're not so dependent on that one stream of revenue. And then that way, if they come in and say, hey, look, that's it, you got to go, you're ready for it. So this podcast is about being happy. Let's get back to supporting and guiding this generation that come behind us. You don't have to be a parent, but supporting and guiding where happiness is the number one factor, no matter what you do, and bring them up in a realistic way in which they want to live their life in this way. If we do that, we'll see this next generation come behind us, and it'll be a much better generation than what we see today. All right. So until next week, this is Sir-Earl signing out. And once again, like I said, let's all search for happiness. All right. Peace.